Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Will, just won the sector champs, and I'm bringing you guys the very first edition of the Against.The.Galaxy podcast. I'm here with my team. I got Nikki. Say
Yo,
hello.
what's up?
I got Nick.
Hello.
I got Mike.
What's going on?
And I got Eric, who wasn't with us, and we're going to break down the weekend for him.
How's it
Trying to give you guys a feel of how our team went and what kind of stuff we did. So I guess we'll step on the elephant in the room, or whatever the expression is. I won. I took Sabine to the finals, took it down. I beat the Quinlan player, was my only loss in Swiss. Had a great tournament, had a great time, met a bunch of cool people. Really just excited to be playing more Star Wars. But I wasn't the only one who did well. Mike made day 2. Mike, you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I also played Sabine. Probably 55 out of 60 of our cards were identical. So very similar lists, very similar ideas. I ran into some unfortunate matchups in my day 1. I played against what I think was unplayable Array Colossus match with Sabine that felt like a very uphill battle. And then I unfortunately played against it. I had an ECL that I did not draw a 2-drop in both of the games that I lost. So, was unfortunate with some of the losses that happened in day 1, but I was very happy to make day 2, and I made a little bit of push. I won my first game, but I lost to a very good player in Tada in my second game of day 2, and then kind of went down from there. But a very good experience. My first really big kind of day 2 in SWU, so a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's first big day 2, right? We don't really have too many of these tournaments yet, and we're going to get more opportunities. We're going to get a lot more day 2s going forward, but it was a good showing for, the team's first event. Sabine, you switched late, right? You finally listened to me?
Yeah, we had a lot of different prep going. I had a very weird Rex Unity of Purpose deck that I wanted to have a plan B of pilots, where I was very happy just slamming Chewbacca's and Luke's onto ships, being like, "Ha, you thought I was going wide, but I can actually go tall." And I was like, "But I can actually just do that in Sabine and just kill you," as my plan A all the time. So very happy.
100%. 100%.
Very happy with the switch.
Yeah, no, the Unity deck was dope. I mean, I was close to considering it too. I mean, Sabine's my girl, obviously, but that deck was a lot of fun. I think we would have caught a lot of people off guard. Could have gotten a showcase for the for Team Rex, but
Sexy Rexy.
We'll save that for Vegas.
I wanted to play that so bad.
That's sick. What would you play? Nick, tell him.
All right, so I didn't really have anywhere super strong that I wanted to go. Ended up a week before the tournament just deciding why not just play the best deck, just play Quinlan. A couple days before the tournament, I'd been hearing people on the internet that I respected kind of had the opinion that this wasn't the weekend for Quinlan. The field was a little too open for Quinlan because it is going to focus. It's going to do a better job in a focused field. And that the Kira Data Vault deck was actually doing pretty good. I'd played Kira since set 2, right when she came out. So I swerved to Kira Data Vault last minute. Came up with a 4-3 finish. It was a little unfortunate. Wish I did a little better, but a couple of my games went to time, and I ended up just folding those games. So it was like, if we had a little more time in the rounds, if I played a little cleaner, I mean, maybe we could have gotten there, but no big deal.
You got your buy already, so you didn't quite have that want factor.
Yeah, no. I mean, most of our prep focus, or going into the tournament, I was focusing on just playing whatever you guys needed games into, and then figured I would just pick my deck a week out of the tournament, which is what happened. But, not the best result, but who cares?
Our prepping worked out pretty good for me.
I would say that's true.
And we got one more who is with us in Richmond. Nick, you want to talk to us, buddy?
Yeah. So I decided to take Anakin Blue this weekend. I guess it was a controversial take to take the 30 health base over Colossus, as there was a lot of Colossus at the tournament this weekend, and the Anakin decks that converted to day 2 were all Colossus. But in our testing, I felt the 30 health base and the extra card you get to draw was more efficient into Quinlan. Kind of doesn't fold as hard to the hand disruptions. So I went with that, and we started the day one 5-0, and just unfortunately slid in the last 3 rounds. Lost my winning in. Unfortunate, but I'm really happy with the way I played, and I would definitely look into playing the Colossus version of the deck and see what I can build out of that to kind of counteract Quinlan, because Quinlan will always be in the meta.
So it's Quinlan where you got your losses?
Quinlan, I got one loss against Quinlan, so I split my matches with Quinlan. I 2-0 to Quinlan, and then I 0-2 to Quinlan. My other losses were to a Cad Green and Kazuda Yellow. I just got my back blown out by Cunning, but we've all been there, I think.
Yeah.
So I would
As
think,
a backup card, yellow can be fast.
yeah, against like fast decks, extra 5 health would matter. But against like the Cad Green, I think the extra card would matter more on what you think the meta is going to be. And I think for this meta, I think the right call was the 30 base because, you know, we're going to think it's going to be more fast meta than more controlling meta.
Yeah, for sure. And like the 35 health base in my testing has also been good into Sabine. It's just that sometimes that 5 extra health can be the difference. Once you get to the Anakin flip turn, it's kind of, you got to kill Anakin or he's going to run you over.
Yeah, deck's able to turn the corner super fast, and having an extra turn or so to turn that corner, it's big, especially against Sabine. I mean, I don't ever want to see Anakin flip.
Did you play any Sabines?
I did not play Sabine at all in day one, so
That's kind of crazy.
It was crazy. I didn't think that was.
That's a crazy dodge.
It's 10% of the field.
10%. That's 1 in 10. So you play 8 rounds, you might dodge it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sign of a good meta. Like realistically, I think this was the most open field we've ever seen Star Wars. I don't think that at any point in Star Wars we've had the lead deck be at 10%. Obviously, I'm biased, and I'm really happy that's Sabine in that 10% slot. But I mean, things are good right now. This is exactly where they want the meta to be. It was a lot of fun to play in the event. I played against a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I was super happy after the bans because like that left us 2 weeks or 3 weeks going into Richmond where it was just completely open meta. The 2 best decks had just been knocked off their podium, and we could kind of just do whatever we thought was right. And that, I mean, yeah, that did favor you. We think an open field definitely favors aggro, which is where Will ended up going. So makes sense. But it was super fun testing all of the decks in the open field.
Yeah. A lot of opportunities. I don't think that today we know necessarily the best deck. I don't know necessarily that we saw it because the combination of getting the best deck in the best pilot's hands and having them also draw well the entire day, it's tough. You know what I mean? So there could still be some surprises.
A minute ago, Sabine is the best deck. Will always be, has been, and will always will be, or something along those lines.
That's what I'm going to tell everybody. But I think that there's always the opportunity for a secret meta killer deck that is slipping under people's roses. Hey, maybe it was Rex Unity the whole time. Well, we missed our opportunity to really crack the field on its head. But
I mean, the thing with Sabine, it can be attacked, right? Like if you know you're going to go into a meta where the majority of the decks is going to be Sabines, or 10%, 12% is going to be Sabine. Like you deck.
So I was having this conversation in the KTOD Discord, the Green Sabine channel. I'm pretty active there. I brought up the fact that I think people can decide to beat Sabine, but it's really hard to hedge against Sabine. There's only so many cards that you can dedicate in your main deck that are only good against the aggro matchup when it is only 10% of the field. I mean, Nick didn't see it once, right? So like if you tune your deck too hard, like away from the field and towards Sabine, I think you just don't end up at those top tables anyways. And then there are some decks that just decide they're going to beat Sabine today. Like, I'm going to come to this tournament. I might go 4-4, but I didn't take one loss to Sabine. Ray Colossus is a pretty good example of that, where it's just like, you're not beating me, dude. Some of the mono blue villainy decks, even with like Klein and stuff, they just live forever. I just don't think it's
You
good
had
into
to
the
think.
field. So I think that
Yeah.
it's a frustrating thing to decide to do, and that's what leaves Sabine in that open position where like I have to hope I don't hit one of those randoms that just really hates me just for who I am, and then just kind of roll through the people who are going to treat Sabine like. You know, I made the analogy to when I was playing Burn in Legacy, where like I'd shuffle up, people would see a Goblin guy and go, "Oh, this idiot." You know what I mean? I put the Sabine ECL in front of them, and they go, "Oh man, another Sabine player. He's just gonna smash his creatures into my face. This is gonna be so easy." And like there is nuance to it. Like you can play Sabine well. You don't just play creatures and attack. Like there's a lot going on.
And
I think I showed some of that on streams, you know, in some of my camera games, obviously with the finish, but like for real, this isn't just a deck for an idiot to pick up. I think it's the easiest to play, but it's one of the hardest decks to master.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, it was definitely easy to play the deck at 80%, I would say, but getting that last 20% out of the deck, like in that minimal time I had testing in between Rex and deciding I was playing Sabine in that last week and a half week. Um, I mean, just going it over with Nick and getting games into the Quinlan matchup, like you can't just slam your creatures down in the Quinlan matchup. You have to understand
No,
the ping pass, the importance of a 3/5. You showed it
there's a
very.
lot of nuance to that matchup.
You showed it great in that last match. I'm excited to talk about that more with you, in
Yeah,
detail. But
for sure.
when I mean, you went ECL Sindari in those last two games, and that's what let you take it. And that's not a line that I think a lot of people just picking up the deck are going to take and understand that
Right.
blowing both of the bases puts Sabine in a place on turn 4 to really turn the corner with big swords if there's no confiscate or disabling Fang Fighter or just going extra wide with double 2-drops that can't be pinged. So
Yeah,
I think you showed it
yeah,
off really
100%.
well that you do have a great understanding of the deck. And then obviously we got to see some top deck magic too, which is awesome. Awesome when you're playing
Of
Sabine.
course, of course,
So
of course, of course. I think, I mean, all right. The best part about Star Wars is that I get to draw 2 cards every single turn, and I never miss a land drop. It's a nice thing that, despite being a card game, does take some amount of the variance out of it. You know what I mean? We have time to find our answers. We have time to get the right cards for the right matchup. And sometimes you just got to knock on your deck and say, "Hey, I got 6 outs. I'll get to draw 2 at least."
yeah, for sure. And smuggle's another big mechanic with
Yeah.
timely.
100%.
Very, very timely
100%.
timelies this weekend.
The most timelies of timelies. Obviously, that was a debatable card in the Sabine matchup. I think very few people are going to debate timely anymore after this weekend. I don't think that there will be a Sabine list without some number of timely interventions in the 60.
I mean, like game 2 would have looked so different against Alex, and then game 3, like you had both timelies, I think, in the
Yep.
Quinlan matchup, and those were just like
Yep.
perfect slams back to back.
Yeah, the
It
times
was just like the card was so impressive.
It turns out ambushing stuff is good. We do it with ECL, but
yeah, right.
we
So
want to ambush stuff.
why was this ever a debate? ECL is good. Do it as often as you can.
I guess where the debate comes from is the clunkiness of it sometimes. Like you're now on the 5 resource turn and you're gonna smuggle ambush a 3-drop, but that's actually pretty good when it's Masterpiece. Like that's actually pretty good when it's, you know, getting a unit off the board and like putting yourself ahead on board and like really swinging the game. Like you have an opportunity for a 2-for-1, and even though it might look a little bit worse on paper, it ends up being pretty good. Even the timely out of hand where you feel like you're 2-for-1 in yourself, like you end up with a unit and they don't. So it's kind of just a 1-for-1, and now you got to see what they do to your unit, try to get another card out of them, and kind of card advantage them that way.
Yeah, the biggest thing I feel against timely is that it's not heroic. I feel that's the biggest knock.
Right. 100%.
Which we did see that downfall, but I mean,
yeah. So game 1 of the finals, I knock on the deck, ask for a cause for 4, and I get a 4 cause for 3. I lose the game by a point of damage and an action, and that was pretty lame. I didn't love that, but at the same time, I loved everything else the Timely did. And for the record, it was technically a Dark Saber, not a Timely anyways, that flipped it, but just, I mean, the Timelies obviously affect the math. So my odds of getting the 4 were much lower than whatever, but I think that's a certain amount of risk that you have to take. I think I'm at 6 main deck cards that don't have the heroic trait, and that's right around where I think you're like pushing your limits. I think if you go any higher than that, you start struggling.
I mean, you do, but like, how many times does 4 cause for 3 extra feel good? Like, it scries 4 and deals them 3 damage. Like, if the cards are powerful enough, you're willing to take that.
Exactly. And a lot of times, just those last points of damage are what you need. But a 25 health base, a 30 health base, 33, whatever they're at, like this game is a game of inches. So those extra, that 1 point, the difference between 3 and 4. Sometimes, hey, I'm just perfectly happy because I did some damage. I got my reach. But sometimes I finish a game with him at 24 health. It's like, if only. Yeah, we need a heroic Timely now printed.
That'd be wonderful.
That'll be my invitational card if they let me. Once I win Vegas, right?
I don't know. I'm coming for that one.
You can get your face on it too. We can get some kind of swag with it.
Some flavor text. It's time.
What time?
I know that even though our other friends did not make day 2, they did have some fun and some side events. Did you guys play? Did you guys play anything different in the side event?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just took Will's Sabine list, made a couple changes that we talked about. You know, maybe one that he didn't agree with, but and I went 3-1. I punted away the last round. I probably should have went 4-0, but it was kind of whatever. Nothing super out of the ordinary. Played against a Luke Datavault in the first round, which was a cool deck to see, especially since the guy had talked about that he was playing it the day before, going for the showcase hunt. But it was fun.
Yeah,
3-1.
See the showcase guys from the side events, but
yeah, not a great day for him, I guess. But you know, it happens. I don't think any Lukes were given out at Richmond. The Vader was claimed for the first time though by George the Hulk from BN. That was cool.
Right, which was the other one of the KTOD guys got the Luke at the last event, right?
Yeah, Stevie got it.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I mean, those are getting out there. Who knows what they're gonna look like on the prize wall? It seems like FFG is being more generous with that prize wall as we get along, and they're kind of listening to people. So maybe we'll have attainable showcases on the wall. I don't know. I'm not crossing my fingers too hard on that. I think they're going to be expensive.
I'm going to put my guess out right now and say 3,000.
How were the prizes on the wall at Richmond? Like tickets that you would get and what you could buy?
So, I mean, we got 300 tickets for playing in the main event. And then I got another 1,000 for making day 2. And then I got 2,000 for making top 8. I believe it's how it all broke out.
Yeah, that's right.
So I got a ton of tickets. I got a bunch of I bought a couple of the play mats.
Just for pricing wise, the play mats were 1,000.
Yep.
At the table. The special treatment cards were 300 tickets for one card.
200. It was 200 for one card.
200 for one card.
Yeah.
They had packs, like carbonite packs for 500. Depending on what set you chose, they were 100 or 200. They had a Twin Suns map for 800, some Poe soft crates for 200 tickets, and then boxes and sleeves with varying costs as well. So definitely reduction in terms of the price of things, because I know they were 2,000 previously for the playmats.
Right.
So it was very nice. Like
also,
even
they loaded it up with all that Game Genic stuff. Like there were Game Genic deck boxes and that stuff, and I'm pretty sure that stuff was not at Denver even available. So that, I mean, even more so a step in the right direction.
So Nick, how did your side event go?
You know, it went. We did our best.
Any fun stories?
I know you want me to tell it, so
You
I
have
will.
to say it.
Well, we
Leave it.
went 2-2. I lost to Pilot Luke Colossus, and I lost in round 1 to this little girl playing Sabine, and she was like 7 or 8. I took her to game 3, and she beat me, and she told me, "Thanks for the tickets, mister." And I may have lost, but I had a good time. I can't say that I didn't have a good time.
Should have played Sabine.
Should have played Sabine, you're right.
She had the right idea.
She really did.
I mean, I know it's very funny, but she was very good from what you said.
Yeah, no, she
Yeah.
for,
She was a
for
savage.
being as young as she was very competent at playing games. So, hats off to her. Other than that, we played against Ray Tarkentown, and I got to play Brian from Golden Dice. He was playing little Pilot Boba Yellow.
Nice.
Did you say you won that game?
I did win that game against Brian.
Oh, you got to take his poker chip?
Yes, I did get it. I earned his poker chip.
I got Jack's, which I hear is the hardest one to get. In my first game, I got matched up against Jack, playing Kira Dataval, and I was like, this is going to be a
Deemed them out.
very tough day to start, very tough game to start the day, but I was very happy. I got his poker chip, so the only one I do not currently have is Flockton's. So the Golden Dice guys were very nice. We met them at the KTO, or I met them for the first time at the KTO event, the night before at Bingo's, I want to say. So
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
Bingo's bar. That was a cool place.
Yeah, it was super sweet to meet.
That was a really cool place, little bar arcade action.
Yeah, super sweet to meet those guys. Meet some of the KTOD guys for the first time in person for me. Maddie was super nice. So just a shout out to them. That was really cool. And I got to get Flockton's coin. So
yeah, Flockton, we're coming for you. If you're listening, you're next. The hangout was cool. Some of those guys I had already met. Some of them I had known from back in the SCG days when I was kind of grinding that like very preliminary circuit when they had a 1K, 2K, 1K Friday, Saturday, Sunday at their opens. I think they're still doing that now, but in the early days, before we had any competitive events, before we had PQs, that was pretty much what we had. So I made that trip, and a lot of those same guys that were at those tournaments, and they weren't huge, 30, 40, 50. I think the biggest one was in the 60s. Those are guys that stuck with the game. They were committed early, and they're still playing now. Seeing some of those guys for the first time since I've been at those things, because recently we've all kind of just stayed up northeast, done our PQ stuff, done our competitive stuff up here, but getting to travel for a tournament, that's one of my favorite things about playing any game, going back to Magic or Star Wars now, is just hanging out with the boys, going on a road trip, setting a mission, and this time accomplishing that mission, but doing so with the team, doing so as a vacation, taking some time off to relax, to compete, to see good people again, have fun, talk about the game, and really just have a weekend of celebrating the game and celebrating our boys. But the KTOD guys, Tata, I've known Tata for as long as I've been playing Star Wars now. He was one of the people that was at every SCG. A couple of the other guys, Jordan Sawsey from some of the Discords, he was one of the SCG guys I hung out with. A lot of times I went down there by myself for those because you guys weren't quite into it yet. Not enough to the point where you were traveling with me, but those guys were very welcoming, and they still are today. Like, it was really cool to just see everybody's friendly face, everybody shaking hands, asking me how I'm doing, wishing me luck, and then obviously on this run, everybody who had ever seen my face was coming up to me and trying to talk to me, which was kind of cool. I didn't hate that. It was it was nice. It was nice getting all the support from all the people that I crushed along the way.
Did anyone ever mention the Wrecker situation ever, Will?
Nah. So kind of. So Tata, we get matched up. and he's on Kira Data Vault. I'm on Sabine. This is the same matchup minus the Data Vault that we played against each other in Baltimore. And obviously, cards were brand new. We wouldn't play it exactly right. I thought I was right. We got a judge. The judge sided with me. I was blatantly wrong. We don't have to go into the details. But Tata goes, last time we played this, you cheated me. and we had a laugh about it. So I got my get back. And now he doesn't. Now he lost that little asterisk on that one. But he still got me lifetime a little bit. I got to play Alex twice on this run. That was really cool. I think we all kind of consider him one of the top however many players in the world. So the fact that I keep getting games against him means I'm doing something right. But I saw him at the undefeated table at the end of day one. He was on Han Green Pilots. I think that matchup's tough for Sabine. I mean, I know that it is on paper. I've played it plenty of times where I've struggled, but everything just kind of came up my way in the matchup. My cards lined up real well into his. I got the 2-0 on him in Swiss. Then we meet again in top 8. I can get him again. Obviously, we've got some coverage on that. We can talk about that match a little bit more in depth, but it was very similar to the first match where it was just like, hey, everything that can go right is going to go right for you, and you're going to be able to take this down.
How were the confiscates in that matchup?
I brought him in every time that I was supposed to bring him in. It didn't exactly come up where I was able to cast him efficiently, but that was more, I mean, a small sample size of one tournament. I still think it was correct. I think, especially in the Han matchup, you need the confiscates. You're insane to play it without the confiscates, but also that's not where you want to fight the game. You really want to take down that ship before it gets pilots on it. Otherwise, you're going to be a little bit behind in the races if you're dedicating any amount of energy towards stopping it while it's still racing you.
You didn't have the 4-1 ambush in your list.
No, I ended up cutting that last minute.
So how did you fight the ship? Like how did I didn't see that match. So.
Sabine's masterpiece was really everything. Being able to just go turn 1 unit, turn 2, ECL my masterpiece, turn 3, smuggle it or timely a masterpiece. Like I had to get him several times off of his ships. It was pretty tough. Masterpiece was 100% the MVP. That's the only reason that matchup's playable, even, I think.
Yeah, you also had the best unit mode in the green unit in both of those games as well. So your masterpiece got to stick around instead of just pinging to trade. You got the masterpiece to actually stick.
Game 2, it was a red unit, and I had to throw the masterpiece and just trade. And that definitely feels bad. I think it was twice.
I think it was turn 2 with an ECL and turn 3 with a timely.
Yeah. I did lose my masterpiece, both of those. That feels way worse, but nothing feels worse than a piloted up Falcon. So you kind of just have to take your lumps and power through it.
So I played Sabine this weekend at the showdown here, and one thing that I was thinking is the red Sabine is red, so ambushing with the masterpiece doesn't really work as well with her. Would subbing for that like fleet admiral be a
Sabine's untouchable. Art's too good.
I would definitely agree with that.
She's your only main deck answer to village people. I mean, there's just like no way you can beat that card without it in the main deck unless you're playing fighters, which we're not currently on.
The Kira stuff. Well, we have the fighters on the board, but yeah, some of the Kira pinging the shields and trading with the unit instead of just getting eaten is pretty nice.
I mean, she's tough when she's your only unit and she's the red unit, so you're not getting the correct mode on the masterpiece. Or when she's a 2-3 on turn 1 if someone in the mirror ECLs their battlefield brain into it. But like when she's doing her thing with that ping, she's out of this world.
Yeah.
Mandalorian traits.
Really strong.
Yeah, the Mandalorian trait matters too.
And so strong to wing leader onto. You know, everybody talks about the Mandalorian trait. Same with the Fang fighters. I put counters on my guys so infrequently. It never sets up the way I want it to. It's happened. I'm not going to tell you it hasn't happened, but that's a tough job getting +1/+1 counters on Mandalorians.
Yeah, I mean we're talking specifically about Darksaber, and it can definitely line up if you go Sabine into Sundari, into Flip, play my Darksaber. It is kind of magical Christmas land where you have all your units in play. But I played the Disabling Fang Fighter this weekend. One time it was very good where I got to ECL it, trade, and blow up a confiscate and get my guy back.
Sure.
Where I was like, haha, you fool for playing confiscate. Look how cool my Disabling Fang Fighter is. But I do think I want to flip back down to the confiscates. I think that the efficiency of doing that and being able to deploy a threat.
You just think about, like, in the mirror, they go Darksaber, you go confiscate +3 drop. Like, you've completely handled that game.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Whereas Fang Fighter +1 drop is like not really I mean, there's still lines where it's going to be good, but it just doesn't automatically line up as good.
For sure.
Fang Fighter ECL into the 1/3 with a Chewie on it, blow up the Chewie, kill your guy, keep my guy. Like, hey, there's lines, but I've preferred the confiscates like throughout testing.
Mike, do you want to talk about your pet card that you got both Nick and I to play for you this weekend?
Yes. So in testing and in my Bosk days, in set 3, my favorite card in playing blue, anything, is Entrenched, because I just think it's so good against space units that you can't answer, especially when we were talking about that Kazuda matchup earlier for Nick, where you can just kind of entrench something that gets a pilot on it. And if there's no immediate answer for the entrench, you can kind of dirtle around until you find an answer to go up there. Or when you flip on the ground with your Anakin, the game's already over on the ground. So I was able to convince both Nick and Nikki to play some number of entrenched in their main deck. And I heard it was good from what they said, but you guys can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I really liked it into some of the. I played against a Piet Colossus. Just they played an Avenger or a Devastator, right? You get the when played, so I sack my guy or you blow up my guy, but then I put an entrenched on it, and you're just never going to win the game with that in play. And I got to entrench the flipped Kazuda onto like an AT hauler in game 2 against Kazuda Yellow, and that the entrench just won me the game. They were not able to push the damage enough to beat me before I could flip Anakin and start attacking with him.
Yeah,
that's sweet. I played it a little bit this weekend. I only played 2 in my main deck, and I was playing Data Vault, which was a 60-card deck, so it's not like I saw it super frequently. When I saw it, it felt pretty good. I mean, going turn 1 Pike Sentinel into turn 2 Entrench plus give it a shield with Kira's ability can be quite powerful against some of the aggro decks. At one point, I had a Childston that was a 9/9 because I showed 4 cards and then stuck an Entrenched on it. Yeah, it's like, come get somebody. I don't know what you're going to do with this, but, like, he's already used his ECL. Like, there's not a Poe coming to get this. Like, it's over. Just go to sleep. So it was like, when it was good, it was real good. Like, I don't remember if I got to stick it on, like, an Avenger, like my opponent's Avenger or anything at any point, but just to have that there was a couple games where I was, like, dead to everything, and I was just knocking on top of the deck because the Entrench was the only thing that had saved me. So, I mean, maybe I'm supposed to play 3. I don't know. I don't think it was that important that I needed to play 3, but if I'm knocking on top of the deck just begging for it, maybe that's an indication that I should have played the 3rd, but I was pretty impressed with it this weekend. I know Mike was super high on it, and I was like, you know what? I'll take his word on it, trim a couple cards, and let's give it a chance.
I mean, that's a card I remember back in the Vader Blue days, struggling against that thing hard with Sabine, because, I mean, either they put it on your unit and it's just, quick removal, like, all right, well, this isn't doing anything now, or they put it on their unit and it ends up being even scarier because they just put a brick wall in front of you that it's gonna take some work.
I also understand why, Nikki, you were a little bit more skeptical of it, because you are playing Power of the Dark Side. It makes it your Power of the Dark Side's a lot weaker, obviously, if they have an entrenched unit. They just go, look, I have a perfect unit to say. this guy that's not doing anything. But if you kind of sequence it where your entrench is your later answers and you're willing to play your Power of the Dark Side early, and then resource your second power with a guy entrenched up top and casting your fells and takedowns, you can be in a very good spot. So I'm glad that you
Yeah,
tried it.
I
I'm
think
glad you trusted me a little bit on that one.
if I had more time going into the week and didn't just like bring 3 in the car ride and probably played like 5 games with the card in Kira, it was like, okay, maybe I would have played some more. But I was just like, let's play 2. Let's give them a chance. But I did come out of it pretty impressed. You just resource them early if they're not good, if you have a power already, or if you can hold it and keep it for late. I mean, they're real good late. So I definitely see the merits to the card and want to continue testing it if I'm going to stay on Kira.
For sure. And Eric, you played this weekend too.
Yeah, I played the showdown here locally while you guys were having fun in Richmond. We had like 10 people.
Did you win that?
Yeah, I won that. I got all 4 Devastators.
Congrats on your big win.
Yeah, right? Sabine was also in the final, so I beat another Sabine deck in the final. So Sabine's all over.
So
People are going to go coming for her next time. Ray Colossus is going to be 12% of the meta.
If I play against Ray Colossus for first time I sit down in Vegas and I'm on Sabine, I'm gonna be excited to showcase hunt for the Luke and the side events because that's not gonna be a very fun day.
You've got to be trying to do like 50 damage a game, like between Vigilance and Restore, and they're 35 HP base. That sounds painful.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Their leader restores so much. And then they play Luke's. Like, you're just playing Wolf in the sideboard. I mean, if I was really scared of these double blue decks, that's an option you can always go back to. But it wasn't great. I'm definitely not advocating for the card, but it does a job.
You got to do what you got to do some days, though. We'll see what happens. I'm sure fringe decks that I would say that Ray Colossus is fringe-er, but I think decks that are trying to tech against Sabine that heavy, we might have to look at that card on the sideboard, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You dodge.
Another thing I've said a lot about Sabine is that, like, you're going to struggle against these, like, off-meta decks that just randomly decided, I hate Sabine because it dominates my locals, and I'm going to bring this deck to this PQ and not let any Sabine players have a good day. They all think they're good because their local players are at that 80% level that we were talking about, and like the difference between getting that last 20% is huge. A lot of even the best players like don't necessarily respect Sabine the way she kind of deserves to be respected, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to show that off this weekend.
Nikki, you also cut the timely out of your list too. Did you miss the timely?
I did, yep.
We didn't talk about that after.
Not really. I mean, I think that was kind of how the deck was built. And I really just picked up Bobby Sapphire's list and ran with it. We made that change with the entrench. So I didn't really have a lot of thoughts about the list going into the weekend. But just looking at the construction of the deck, it didn't look like there was a lot of targets that I wanted to timely in the middle of the game. It was like I could pay 6 for a devastating gunship, which usually felt a little too late for 6 mana. It was like timely Childston is pretty good, but if I'm playing it out of my hand, it's one less card I can show towards the blue count. And like I'm not playing Lompikes or Gideons. So it was really just like those 2 targets, or hold it till the end of the game and double trigger a Reinforcement Walker, which are all valid targets for it, but I just didn't find enough use for it. And then throughout the day, I was kind of considering it in places that I would like draw those entrench. And I was like, if this was an entrenched, would it be good? If it was a timely, would it be good? And I really just came to like the place where I felt like I just didn't really need the timelies. Maybe there was a spot that it would have been good that I didn't notice, but it wasn't a card I was really digging for, which the same logic that I didn't want timely was the same logic that was starting to bring me to that my middle of the game OBs weren't as good as I was hoping they would be. Just because all of my early game units were so small, and I didn't have stuff like Lom Pike and Gideon and some of the bigger mid game threats that the ECL decks get to play. So it's like OB's a house and a half when I get to play it on Kira, or when I get to play it at the end of the game on like a Vader or a Maul or something. But it's an interesting way to build the deck, and I really enjoyed it. But it definitely takes some getting used to not having that like as much mid game play to the board, and more just trying to clean up the board so you can turn that corner.
Yeah, that seemed like, I mean, I played Tata and Swiss in day 2, and that kind of seemed like where he was at. That middle of the game is where he got real stressed out, and he got right on the doorstep of, closing out the game. Like your end game is so strong, but it's just not having that super powerful OB in the middle of the game to really like reset everything, I think, is what made that matchup more favorable for Sabine this weekend.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I want to just play some Lom Pikes just as a good OB target, and obviously it's much better when I get to ECL it in, but put like ramp on 2, Lom Pike plus shield it on 3, flip my Kira to have a healthy Lom Pike, or I can just play the Lom Pike after I flip the Kira. And then I have 2 OB targets for the next turn, so if you clear out one, I still have the other.
Alrighty. Well, we ran it about the time that we wanted to, so we're just going to plug some stuff at the end here. We started up some new social media. We have a Twitter to follow us. It's Against.The.Galaxy or at ATG_SWOO. We started up an Instagram profile, Against_The_Galaxy. And we are trying this kind of new realm out. We're going to continue our hunt in the PQ season. Obviously, 2 out of 5 of us are now qualified for Vegas, but the rest of us are still in the hunt. We will not be at Tabletop Gaming Center this upcoming weekend, but you'll see us around the Northeast. And we have some more videos coming. We want to go over some of the games of the top 8 of Will, obviously. So we're going to have a Green Han recap video coming out soon, and a finals recap video of the Quinlan Tarkentown matchup. So thank you for being with us, and we'll catch you guys next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Good night, everyone.